start with storage account networking. We are done with basics. We are done with advanced these settings. Now we'll talk about networking. So if you remember, here we have one checkbox which says allow enabling the anonymous access on individual containers, right? If you check this box, anyone who has the link will be able to access. But this is not the only place where you control your access. There's one more place, which is network, right? So this is from the security point of view. Example, do you want someone to access your content or not, right? If you uncheck this, no one will be able to access this unless they have user ID and password. But if you check this, they will be able to access it just using the link, provided you follow the same settings in networking. Now, what all do we have in networking? In networking, we have enable public access from all the networks or from all networks. So when you click this one, enable public access from all networks, let me use my storage account. While explaining theory, I'll also show you the practical. Maybe you will understand it then. So if I go to storage account, under storage, if I go and use a container, I told you this container is not the container which you hear with Docker. This is a different container. Okay, so in container, I'm going to create one container. Container is what, guys? It is just a folder. If we talk about our PC, if we talk about the PC's hierarchy, so like we have folder, that is how we have one container. So these are containers, you can say. These are equal to containers. Okay. So your containers are your folder. And blob का मतलब होता है file. So don't get confused when you hear these words file and blob, container and blob. Container folder है समझ लो आप. And then this is your file. Blob is your file. Storage account is your sort of hard disk जिसमें सब कुछ आ गया. ठीक. Under advanced, if you go, let's discuss this later. First, now look at this. What does it say? Private. No anonymous access. The access level is set to private because anonymous access is disabled. So what does it mean? While creating this storage account, I had select here, I have unchecked this. अगर मैं ये चेक करता बॉक्स, देन यहाँ पर ये पब्लिक अवेलेबल होता, पब्लिकली अवेलेबल होता, right? And if that would have been case, you would have been used and you would have been accessed any file which I save here easily, just the use of one simple link. So let's try that. If I can change that here, or let's create this storage account with this one. So we'll have two of them. One is with unchecked option. So look at this. It says private, no anonymous access. So even if I create a container, okay, now this is my container. Under container, I will be sorry, I will be uploading a file. Okay, let's say. So if I upload one file here, okay, let's say I'm uploading these files. Let's ignore this error. Okay, we'll talk about this later. So I was not able to upload the file because of this error. We'll come to this. So one, and let's say if it is uploading. Once these files are uploaded, I simply have to share one link with you. Once you get the link, you should be able to access this using the browser. You don't have to do anything. On simple browser, like you access the website, you will be able to access this clearly. Why is it happening here? Because authentication method I have selected. key. Let's see. Okay, let's come back to this. I don't want you guys to get confused. So one place is here. If you check this, then only people without any user ID will be able to access your data. So if you have such data where you want people to use your data without any user ID and password, for example, you have an application of wallpaper. You want them to download your wallpaper, you want them to upload their pictures. No user ID, nothing is needed. So you'll check this box. Having said this, with this, you'll also have to enable public access from all network. If you have checked this, but यहाँ पर आपने disable कर रखा है public access, so no one will be able to access your storage account, even if you have checked over there. And even if you have unchecked that and given user ID and password, but if you have done this, disable public access and only use private access, no one from outside will be able to use your storage account. Okay? So if you do this, anyone from public access, anyone, understand one thing here, this is not like a virtual machine. We are not getting private IP on your storage account, nor we are getting a public IP. We are getting a link directly. Behind it, there will be a public IP. That's a different story, but we don't have to worry about it. We simply have to, we simply have to just share the link and you will be able to access the data using the link. So if you want your users, if your client wants your users to access the data from anywhere, then you will check this box or then you will select this, enable public access from all networks, right? If you want that my clients, this is an internal application and all my clients or all my users of this application, they are coming from a specific virtual network, then you can do this. That only machines and users or applications which are coming from this particular virtual network, only they should be able to access my storage account. And that virtual network is this. It could be anything. I mean, you can select the virtual network, whichever virtual network you want. You select the subscription and you get the virtual network. Now there is a catch. You will see again, you will see only those virtual network which are in East US. If I'm creating this storage account in East US and if I want to see the virtual network which is in Central India, I will not be able to see it. Is it clear, guys? Still here?
Yes.
Right? So if you want them to use, if you want your storage account to be used but only by internal public, right? Internal people which are residing on some virtual network or some sort of subnet or some virtual network is fine. Then you will select this and you will select that virtual network. If you keep this, then it is being accessed over the public internet or over the public network. Are these 2 points clear?
Yes.
Yes, yes. What about others? Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, got
Yes.
it.
Okay. So, and I told you, no matter what you select here, let's say even if you have enabled it publicly, but if you have unchecked this, you're still not able to, you'll not be able to access this. Right? So you'll have to check this and select this publicly. So let me show you one more thing here. So let's say this is your storage account. Let me see if I can find the storage, otherwise we'll take anything. So let's say this is your storage account. Understand this guys very thoroughly. ठीक है इसको अच्छे से ध्यान देना है इस पे. If you don't understand anything, do ask me. So this is your storage account. If I select that option, public, right, so all your users, whichever users are there, let me find some machines so you will understand it properly. Because this is very important to understand. Just because this is coming from virtual network, that does not mean it will work like a virtual network which we saw in virtual machine. उस तरह से exactly नहीं काम करता ये. ठीक है. Let me quickly create a small diagram for you. I could have done this earlier, but then you will not understand. If I give you a ready-made diagram, you won't understand sometimes. Hence, we have to do this. Okay. So imagine that this is your public internet. Let's say this is your public internet, your external users on public internet. And this is your internal VMs in a VNet. It could be any VNet. Let's say this is your VNet. Fine. So now, whenever someone is connecting from outside, this connection, whenever someone is connecting from outside, right? So this connection, what do you think? Is it happening on internet or is it happening on Azure network? Is it happening over the private network or is it happening over the internet?
That is happening over the internet.
Okay. So which means your storage account is still publicly exposed, right? No, it is not insecure, but it is still publicly exposed. Publicly exposed का मतलब not necessary कि insecure है. It means it is public facing, right? Now, when I say that these machines from virtual network, only these should be using, what do you understand or what do you guess? Is this connection uh, going over the internet or is it on private network?
That is on private network. That is on your own network.
Okay. No. Yeah, this is the reason we have to I had to draw a diagram. Even if I select a virtual network in some machines, this traffic it is still coming from the internet. The only difference is here everyone from internet can come, but here the only the source which is starting from this VNet, they will be able to come. However, the traffic is still flowing over the internet. ये भी आपका इंटरनेट से आ रहा है and ये ट्रैफिक भी over the internet ही आएगा. The only difference here, I'll show you one more a clear diagram. I'll create a good diagram and I'll share it with you post classes, right? So the only difference here, यहाँ पर there is no restriction. Any IP can come here. Restriction only IPs which are there in this virtual network. Only those IPs can communicate. But it is still going on public network. Is this clear to everyone now?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the default nature of storage account that traffic will come on public network. वो हमेशा public network पे ही रहेगी. Is this clear, guys? Is this point clear to everyone?
Yes.
Okay. Unless a user specifically says that my storage account is not at all needed over the public's exposure. This is the default nature of storage. It is publicly exposed. It is public facing, right? Unless a user specifically says that he wants uh, to disable the access completely. So you can do this. Disable the public access. But the moment you disable the public access, the link which you have shared with them, that is not going to work. Which link? ये link मैं बता रहा था जो upload होने के बाद हमको link मिलने वाला है. Right? The once we upload the file, the link which we are going to get, will create today. We are going to create storage account and we are going to see this. So the link which we are going to get, that link will not work here. The moment you select disable public access. It's not like machine कि यहाँ पे आपके पास एक public IP और private IP already है, right? So either you access via private. If you're coming via private IP, it's a private connection. Coming via public IP, it's a public connection. No, that is not the case. So if you enable public access from all network, there still be a public access from all the network. And look at this. इसको अच्छे से पढ़ोगे तो आप पढ़ के ही समझ में आएगा. It is still enabling the public access. It is not disabling the public access. This option also, it is still enabling the public access, but from selected virtual networks, an IP address. Got it, guys? Are these 2 points clear?
Yes. Yes.
Right. But now, if you want that I need this to be accessed completely over the private network, then you will have to disable the access. You will have to disable public access completely. Now this is done. So how to get a private access? हमने ये तो disable कर दिया. Fine. Look at this. I can go ahead. There is no compulsion कि मैं private करूं. And now my account will be there, but no one will be able to access that. Why? पब्लिक के लिए मैंने उसको डिसेबल कर दिया, प्राइवेट मैंने कोई बनाया नहीं है. So in that case, you will have to create one private endpoint. And this is a must ask question. They will ask what is private endpoint and what is service endpoint. So service endpoint we are going to read later, but understand private endpoint first, right? So what private endpoint does, private endpoints, it allows a private connection to this resource. It's an additional private endpoint connection can be created within the storage account on private link center. So forget this. We're not going till private link center. We just want one private endpoint. So you'll have to click here. Now, whenever you required something to be accessed internally, what does it need? Let's say you are saying, I want this virtual machine to talk to another virtual machine. तो क्या necessary in चीजों में? Let's say these two virtual machines are in my one subnet. So what is the required thing? If I want these two machines to talk to each other, if I want these two machines to talk to each other, तो क्या क्या चीजें जरूरी है? Who can tell me? Between two
It
over
should be
private network. Yeah, sorry.
If it
over
is
Say
subnet
connected
of
to the same network, then I mean,
हाँ सेम नेटवर्क. लेट्स से
they
सेम नेटवर्क सेम सबनेट. सेम नेटवर्क है सेम
so
सबनेट पे.
they so they'll be able to, I mean, talk to each other. We don't need to do anything.
Yes, they will be able to talk to each other, but components क्या क्या involve है उसमें? Yeah, you don't have to do anything separately. Correct. Components क्या क्या involve है? How do they talk to each other? कौन से component से शुरू होता है ये सब बात करना, and which is the uh, service they are going to use?
Private public IP.
Sorry,
subnet via NIC they will talk
NIC. Yes,
by
NIC पे
IP
क्या लगा
address.
होता है?
IP address.
What kind of IP address will be here?
It will be private.
Private IP address, right? Because it is in subnet, it is in same subnet, same VNet. So yes, they will talk to each other by default, and the components which are being used in this communication is NIC, Network Interface Card. और NIC पे क्या लगा है आपका? Private IP. Then only these two machines are talking to each other, right? Now the client says, I need something similar where my storage account is only talking to my on over my internal network to my internal machines. Then यहाँ पर भी क्या लगेगा आपको? NIC. Obviously एक ही NIC है. I'm just making different connections here. Or you can have multiple NICs also. We have checked that. So यहाँ पर आपको एक NIC लगेगा, which is talking to your machine. Similarly, like you have a NIC here, you will require a NIC on your storage account as well. Because unless you have a NIC on your storage account, it's completely happening on public network. But now you have disabled the public network, right? The moment you disable the public network, this connection will be gone. You will not be able to access that over the public. Now you want this to access only on this one private network. So what do you need? You need a NIC here, which is a by default on a virtual machine. कुछ extra नहीं करना पड़ेगा. Public IP, it's a by default over the virtual machine. You don't have to do anything. And it's not only virtual machine, guys. I have been telling you. Now we are talking about virtual machine. बहुत ज्यादा यूज करते हैं. यहाँ पर कोई app service भी हो सकता है, कुछ और भी हो सकता है. It could be anything, right? But it is on a private network. It is on a NIC. Same thing we require on storage account. So how do you put a NIC on storage account? You don't have to do anything extra. Simply just click on add private endpoint. Add private endpoint का मतलब ही होता है NIC add करना, किसी भी सर्विस पे NIC add करना. So this is the subscription. This is the storage resource group location. Now I'm giving a name. So this is my storage account which I'm going to create. तो ये storage account का NIC होने वाला है. ठीक है, accordingly I'm naming it. This is the resource I'm talking about. Which virtual network? Up the moment I say I need a NIC, what does it mean? You need an IP. If you need an IP, you need a subnet. If you need a subnet, you need a VNet. So you're selecting your VNet and subnet here. अब इस VNet में से और इस subnet में से एक private IP उसको assign होगा. Is this clear, guys, to everyone?
Yes.
So now, if I want to access this from some another VNet, is it possible? If yes, what extra I will have to do? What extra step I will have to do? Or is it not
In
possible?
VNet VNet pairing we
Yes.
need.
If all my resources are in the same VNet, जहां से मैं इसको एक private endpoint assign कर रहा हूँ, I don't have to do anything. Simply they will be able to access. But I'm saying नहीं, ये दूसरे VNet से भी आ रहा है. Do the VNet pairing and they will have the access. So I click OK and here it is. Now this is my private endpoint. Now, no one will be able to access my website over the public network. Now, I'm saying कि I want the connectivity to my storage account from my data center. It's a physical data center, on-prem data center. ठीक है? On-prem data center, and I want connectivity to my storage account. Simple way, public, right? Will it serve my purpose? Connectivity होगी. If I select public access, will I be able to connect to my storage account from a machine which is residing on my on-prem data center?
Yes.
Yes. If I select virtual network, will I be able to do that? Enable public access from a virtual network or IP address. Will I be able to achieve this?
Yes, you can.
How?
Because it
The
is the
VPN.
yeah, through VPN. But the first option enable public access from all networks and enable public access from selected virtual network is nothing but same. And they are on a public level.
My source machine is in data center, I said. It's an on-prem data center. Don't lose on the question. My source virtual machine, let's say a client is saying, this is my storage account in Azure. This is my source virtual machine. It's in my public, it's in my on-prem data center. Now I want the connectivity. यहाँ से यहाँ पर मुझको connectivity चाहिए. ठीक है? And now I'm asking you, can we take this? Will it serve my purpose for this connectivity? Yes, guys. Will I be able to access or not? This is the
Yes.
connectivity I'm talking about.
Yes.
That my machine is in uh, virtual data. It's sorry, it's in physical data center, on-prem data center. ये machine मेरे data center में है और ये storage account Azure पे है. If I select this, will I be able to connect or not?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
because
Why so confusion,
everything.
guys? Sorry, you're saying something? Yes, Razak bhai, were you saying something?
No, I was saying that yes, I mean that other machines can access, that
Yes.
external user machine can access.
Right. Why? Because you have enabled the public access, right? This is checked. There is no confusion, trick question. हमेशा कोई trick question हो simple. ये सब checked है. Let's. I'm just simply talking about networking. So enable public access from all network. This will serve my purpose, right? But what if I select second option? Will I be still able to connect using this machine? Is there any way कि मेरा जो ऑन प्रिम पे एक मशीन है डेटा सेंटर ऑन प्रिम डेटा सेंटर पे एक मशीन है वहां से स्टोरेज अकाउंट कनेक्ट होना चाहिए. नाउ आई एम कनेक्टिंग डायरेक्टली प्रोग्रामेटिक एक्सेस दैट इज सेकेंडरी. उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है नेटवर्किंग के इस पर. ठीक है. सो विल आई बी एबल टू कनेक्ट फ्रॉम दैट मशीन टू माई स्टोरेज अकाउंट इफ आई सेलेक्ट दिस ऑप्शन?
Yes,
हाउ?
because that is publicly accessible, right? So the on-prem machine can easily access that. I mean, because we have allowed that enable public access, and
बट
also we are
enable public access from where? Read the second option completely.
From the IP address, we can provide the IP address to the
Yes. Yes. So why was this missing, guys? Don't ever just give short answers. Do not rely on keywords. You are saying yes, answer is correct. I want to understand how. आपने तुक्का लगा दिया yes interview में, or do you understand the concept? So what does it say? That enable the public access from selected virtual networks, which is fine. अगर इतने पे ये रुक जाता, then I would have said कि नहीं यहाँ से नहीं हो सकता. Because do we have any virtual network in on-prem? On-prem में कोई virtual network नहीं होता है, right? So we would have said no. But यहाँ पर लिखा है networks and IP address, and below if you see here, it gives you an option to add the public IP. यहाँ पर किसका public IP आएगा? If I want this connection to be this connection to work, let's say this is my on-prem. ये मेरा on-prem setup है पूरा, right? This is my on-prem setup completely, and this is my Azure. Line के उस तरफ है Azure, and this is my on-prem, right? So what do you think कि ये कैसे होगा connection?
Via IP address.
किसका IP एड्रेस यूज करूंगा मैं?
स्टोरेज
that
अकाउंट का
सॉरी,
स्टोरेज अकाउंट का
Did you ever see an IP address on your storage
No,
account?
I have never, no.
Virtual
An
networking.
external
We'll
machine,
create a
Sub
public IP
on-prem
address.
machine.
on-prem machine.
Yes. Why would we create a public IP, guys? Understand one thing. What is it saying? Enable the access from selected virtual network and IP. So from selected virtual network में हम क्या ले रहे हैं? जिस network से आना चाहिए वो, right? And if it is not the virtual network, हम क्या ले रहे हैं? और and दोनों में से कोई भी अप्लाई होता है, because we can leave it or we can have both. तो यहाँ पर आपके मशीन का पब्लिक आईपी क्यों पिक्चर में आ रहा है? आप सॉरी, आपके स्टोरेज अकाउंट को क्यों पिक्चर में आ रहा है? यू विल नॉट पुट अ पब्लिक आईपी ऑन योर स्टोरेज अकाउंट, इट ऑलरेडी हैज अ पब्लिक यूआरएल, उसमें आपको पब्लिक आईपी की जरूरत ही नहीं है. यहाँ पर यू आर गोइंग टू ऐड द पब्लिक आईपी ऑफ योर सोर्स. इन दिस केस विच इज योर सोर्स? राइट साइड में जो डायग्राम है उसमें सोर्स क्या है आपका?
On-prem machine.
ऑन प्रेम
On-prem machine.
मशीन. राइट. नाउ आई हैव मल्टीपल मशीन्स. एम आई गोइंग टू पुट मल्टीपल पब्लिक आईपीज ऑन माई मल्टीपल मशीन्स, और वो सब यहाँ पर ऐड करता बैठू मैं? इज दैट द केस? आई डू. What can I
I
do
will
here?
use the range.
We'll create one.
We will use the range.
Do you
Check.
use public
Adder.
IPs in this range, by the way? इतने सारे public IPs यूज करते हो क्या आप? और रेंज कैसे यूज कर पाएंगे? Do you have any access over the public IP? कि मुझको इस रेंज का पब्लिक आईपी चाहिए, लाइन से 50-60 पब्लिक आईपी. डू यू हैव दैट? सो सिमिलरली गाइज, इफ यू रिमेंबर नैट वाला जो कॉन्सेप्ट मैंने आप लोगों को बताया था, दैट योर मशीन्स चाहे वो ऑन प्रिम पे भी हो, दीज मशीन्स आर डायरेक्टली नॉट यूजिंग एनी पब्लिक आईपी. ये मशीन्स आपके फिर से ये भी प्राइवेट आईपी ही यूज करते होंगे. ये जाके कहाँ पे ट्रांसलेट होता है एड्रेस?
Okay, netting.
यस. तो नेटिंग, हु डज द नेटिंग इन ऑन प्रेम डेटा सेंटर? नेटिंग कौन करता है
Router.
guys?
Router.
यस.
router.
सो यहाँ पर आपका होगा हमेशा ऑन प्रेम में, एक्चुअल एनवायरनमेंट में यू विल ऑलवेज से दैट वी आर गोइंग टू पुट
Router
राउटर्स
का
एड्रेस.
public IP.
नेवर से मशीन्स पब्लिक एड्रेस, इसका पब्लिक एड्रेस कभी नहीं होता है वो. बिकॉज यहाँ पर एक मशीन है, यहाँ पर कोई और सोर्स हो सकता है, कोई एप्लीकेशन होगा, कोई फायरवॉल होगा, कुछ भी हो सकता है. यहाँ पर एन नंबर ऑफ डिवाइसेस होंगे, मे बी देयर इज अ प्रिंटर. आप कितनों को पब्लिक आईपी दोगे और कितने पब्लिक आईपी यहाँ पर ऐड करोगे? एंड व्हाट इफ दैट पब्लिक आईपी चेंजेस? राइट, कई बार होता है वो पब्लिक आईपी चेंज हो रहा है. सो यू नेवर ऐड, इवन इफ देयर इज अ सिंगल मशीन एनवायरनमेंट में, लाइव एनवायरनमेंट में, यू विल नेवर सी दिस काइंड ऑफ कनेक्शन. इट विल ऑलवेज गो वाया राउटर, और यहाँ पर राउटर का आईपी एड्रेस होगा. इज दिस क्लियर टू एवरीवन? सो इफ यू पुट,
Yes.
which IP
Yes,
address
yes.
did it take, by the way? What do you think? ये IP address इसने ऑटोमेटिकली कौन सा ले लिया है? It's a public IP
Virtual
address.
network. Address space के लिए ना?
No, it has taken a public IP address. Can you see? It's a public IP address. And I didn't see add your client IP address, and I clicked on it and it added this. So which is the client in this case? If I am saying I want to connect it from some other source to my storage account, so my
Internet
laptop is my
service
client.
provider.
This is my private, this is my public IP which is there on my uh, laptop. So if I show you my public IP, here it is. Can you see? This is my public IP. So that is what it has taken. तो यहाँ पर आप अपना राउटर का पब्लिक आईपी ऐड करोगे. इज दिस क्लियर गाइस टू एवरीवन?
Yes.
Yes.
So I hope this point is clear. Now, routing preference. Do you want to do the routing over the Microsoft network routing or internet routing? So don't get confused. This is very simple. जहां पर सिर्फ पब्लिक नेटवर्क अवेलेबल है, it doesn't matter what you select. Obviously, it is going over the public network. It is going on the internet. But where we have public network in Microsoft network both, that time preference can be selected here. So let's say once the Microsoft also has its own network, right? उनका भी काफी lines वगैरह बिछाया होता है. So you can select whether you want your traffic to be routed on internet or Microsoft network routing. It's up to you. Microsoft वाला थोड़ा सा फास्ट होगा, उस पर डेडिकेटेड ट्रैफिक होती है सिर्फ आप लोगों की. इंटरनेट पे दूसरी ट्रैफिक भी होती है. but this is only where Microsoft network is available. नहीं है तो by default it is going on the internet. So is this clear, guys, to everyone?
नेटवर्क राउटिंग का एक बार बता दो ना सर, भाई समझा ही नहीं।
ये वाला
माइक्रोसॉफ्ट, हाँ
इग्नोर इट,
वही
इग्नोर
दोनों
इट,
ऑप्शन क्या है? अच्छा
फॉरगेट
अच्छा
इट, इग्नोर इट, नॉट नेसेसरी, कोई पूछेगा भी नहीं। Ignore it. Don't get
अच्छा,
confused.
ठीक है।
The important point here, which they are going to ask, is endpoint. Service endpoint definitely पूछते हैं, and private endpoint. Service endpoint we are going to do later. Private endpoint, is this clear or not?
यस
Yes.
इट इज रेस्ट ऑल क्लियर।
This point, are these clear or not?
यस यस।
कि enable public access करोगे तो क्या होगा? From all network. Enable public access from selected network करोगे तो क्या होगा? And if you want to connect it from your on-prem, तो यहाँ पर किसका public IP आएगा? ये आप लोगों को select करना है। ठीक है? So now we have 4 minutes left. Let me put one more scenario. So I'm saying that I don't want this public IP, public access इस तरह से नहीं होना चाहिए, ठीक है? I want the private this to happen, but over the internet. Oh, sorry, from my on-prem. What I want कि on-prem से private endpoint पे connectivity चाहिए मुझको. How would you achieve this? Let's see, this is private endpoint. I don't want over the internet. I want from my on data center to storage account, but private endpoint पे चाहिए मुझको, publicly access चाहिए ही नहीं. How would you achieve this?
You can add the private endpoint.
Yes, you have already added. Then what? Private endpoint आपने add कर लिया. Can you access the private endpoint directly from public? अगर वो कर सकते हो तो फिर then what is the use of
v-
options which you have selected?
v- Via private IP address.
Private IP किसका?
Nick.
No, I'm not getting you. Explain. Don't guys, don't answer
pri-
in keywords. Your interviewer is not going to put efforts for you and try to understand what are you trying to say. You have to do it for yourself.
Private IP of external user and
Can they talk? I'll give you my private IP. Can you ping me from your private IP? Is it possible?
no.
If yes, what are the steps? No, it's not completely no. You are on correct track in a way. But can we do that directly? If not, what are the steps?
We need VPN.
Yes.
VPN.
Yes, guys.
ये
You are on
VNet
correct
and
way.
VPN।
Start thinking on all the services we have worked till now. Yes, you will require a VPN. VPN से आप किसी एक VNet को कनेक्ट करोगे. उस VNet पे जो है आपका पूरा VPN का सेटअप होगा, जो गेटवे सबनेट वगैरह होगा. That VPN you will connect with your on-prem, and that's how you will establish a connectivity between your on-prem and your Azure. And उसी VNet में आप अपना storage ये कर सकते हो. And if it is a different VNet, then what one more step is needed? Let's say
VNet
आपने
pairing.
yes, VNet pairing.
यस
सिंपल, इधर हब एंड स्पोक और वीनेट पेयरिंग. मोस्टली हब एंड स्पोक होता है बिकॉज ऑन प्रिम से आप सारे वीनेट्स को नहीं कनेक्ट करोगे, किसी एक ही वीनेट को ऑन प्रिम से कनेक्ट कर लो एंड देन बाकी सबको हब एंड स्पोक के अंडर कनेक्ट कर लो. सो एवरी वीनेट इज नाउ एक्सेसिबल फ्रॉम योर ऑन प्रिम, एंड जिस भी वीनेट में आपने अपना स्टोरेज रखा है वहां से नाउ द एंड पॉइंट, प्राइवेट एंड पॉइंट विल बी एक्सेसिबल. नाउ दीज टू प्राइवेट कैन कम्युनिकेट विथ ईच अदर, नॉट डायरेक्टली. इज दिस क्लियर गाइज टू एवरीवन?
Yes.
But what is the benefit of doing this, Swell Bhai? Because we are given
I'm not
access
exposing it over the
directly.
public.
Huh.
I'm not exposing my storage account to
Okay,
public facing at all. Let's say I have crucial data and I don't want to do it over the public. So the benefit of
okay,
this that you are doing it completely on private network.
okay.
Okay, guys, 30 seconds are left in this session. So we'll stop here and we'll come back and we'll start with this option, data protection option. Right? We'll join without taking any break.